The windshield wipers of Elena Ramirez's ancient pickup screamed against the glass, fighting a losing battle with the rain that fell in sheets so thick it felt like the sky itself was weeping. Lightning cracked open the night, illuminating the empty stretch of Highway 17 for one blinding second, just long enough for Elena to see the silhouette of a man stumbling along the shoulder, one arm clamped around a small, shivering child. The truck hydroplaned, she wrenched the wheel, heart slamming against her ribs, and eased onto the gravel. "Stay here, Milo," she told her golden retriever in the passenger seat, though the dog was already whining, paws on the dash. She killed the engine. The storm swallowed the headlights. Elena grabbed her emergency flashlight, yanked her hood up, and stepped into the deluge. The man looked half-drowned. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead, his jacket clung to him like a second, sodden skin. The little girl in his arms couldn't have been more than 4, her face buried in his neck, tiny fists knotted in his shirt. "Hey!" Elena shouted over the wind. "You okay?" He lifted his head. Even in the storm's chaos, his eyes, storm-gray, exhausted, locked onto hers with a gratitude so raw it stole her breath. "My car died 2 miles back," he yelled. "No signal. She's freezing." Elena didn't think. She just acted. "Get in." She wrenched open the rear door. He slid the child inside first, then followed, water streaming off them both. Milo scrambled over the console to sniff the newcomers, tail thumping. Elena cranked the heat, peeled out of her raincoat, and draped it over the little girl. "I'm Elena. That's Milo. You're safe now." The man's voice cracked. "I'm Caleb. This is Sophie." Sophie peeked out, cheeks blotched red from cold, eyes huge. "Hi," she whispered. Elena's house was 12 miles of flooded backroads away, but the storm made it feel like 100. Every rut sent the truck lurching, every thunderclap made Sophie whimper. Caleb kept one arm around his daughter, the other braced against the door, murmuring, "It's okay, baby. We're okay." Elena stole glances in the rearview. Father and daughter looked like they'd been through hell long before the storm, clothes threadbare, a duffel bag patched with duct tape, the faint smell of motel soap clinging to them. When they finally rolled into her gravel driveway, the old Victorian stood dark against the lightning, porch light flickering like it might give up. Elena cut the engine. "Home sweet home. Let's get you dry." Inside, the house smelled of cedar and fresh-baked cornbread. Elena had left a pan in the oven before heading to town for feed. She flicked on lamps, revealing mismatched furniture, books stacked like Jenga towers, and a fireplace already crackling thanks to the timer she'd set. "Bathrooms down the hall," she said. "Towels in the cupboard. I'll find clothes." Caleb hesitated. "We don't want to impose." "You're dripping on my rug. Go." While they showered, Elena rummaged through drawers. For Sophie, an old t-shirt of her niece's, hem hitting the knees, and a pair of thermal leggings. For Caleb, her ex-husband's forgotten sweatpants and a flannel that still smelled faintly of sawdust and betrayal. She pushed the thought away. She warmed soup, buttered cornbread, and set the table. Milo planted himself at Sophie's future chair, tail sweeping the floor like a metronome. They emerged looking almost human. Sophie's curls were tamed into damp ringlets, Caleb's hair stuck up in soft spikes. The flannel stretched across his shoulders, her ex had been narrower. Elena swallowed. "Eat," she commanded. Sophie attacked the cornbread like it was manna. Caleb ate slower, eyes on his daughter, then on Elena. "This is incredible. Thank you." "Storm's supposed to last till morning," Elena said. "Guest room's yours." "I'll take the couch." "No. Non-negotiable." Later, after Sophie was tucked into the guest bed with Milo curled at her feet like a golden heating pad, Caleb lingered in the hallway. "I can pay you," he said quietly. "Soon as the bank's open." Elena leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. You can pay me by telling me how you ended up walking a highway in a hurricane with a 4-year-old. He exhaled, shoulders sagging. Lost my job 6 months ago. Wife, ex-wife, bailed when Sophie was 2. Been bouncing between motels, freelance gigs. Car gave out tonight. I was trying to get us to my sister's in Wilmington before the storm hit. Elena's chest tightened. That's a long walk. Sophie fell asleep in the back seat. I couldn't wake her to carry her farther. Then you came. Silence stretched, filled only by the rain drumming the tin roof. I'm an SEO, he added, almost shyly. Search engine optimization. Sounds stupid when you say it out loud. Elena laughed, couldn't help it. Better than professional storm magnet. He smiled, and something in the room shifted, like the air after lightning. Morning brought a sky scrubbed clean, but the power was out and the creek behind the house had become a river. Elena's phone showed no bars. Caleb's was dead. Looks like you're stuck till the road's clear, she said, pouring coffee over a camp stove. Sophie discovered the tire swing. Milo discovered Sophie. Caleb discovered Elena's workshop, a shed out back where she restored antique furniture, her hands calloused from years of sanding and staining. You do this full-time? He asked, running a finger over a half-finished mahogany headboard. Side hustle. Day jobs at the feed store. This pays the soul. He nodded like he understood. Days blurred. The storm had knocked out cell towers for 50 miles, county crews were swamped. Caleb insisted on earning his keep. He fixed the leaking gutter with duct tape and prayer. He chopped firewood with an axe older than Sophie. He cooked, really cooked. Turning Elena's sparse pantry into meals that made Sophie clap and Milo beg. Nights, they talked. Elena told him about growing up in that house, her parents gone too soon, the fiancé who'd left when the medical bills from her mom's cancer ate their savings. Caleb told her about coding his first website at 12, about the startup that promised the world and delivered pink slips, about waking up in motel rooms wondering if he was failing his daughter. One evening, Sophie fell asleep on the couch mid-storybook. Caleb carried her to bed, then returned to find Elena staring at the fire. I used to think love was a transaction, she said without looking up. You give, you get. Then I learned some people just take. Caleb sat beside her, close, but not touching. I used to think success was a title and a paycheck. Then I held Sophie the night she had croup in a Super 8 and realized I'd trade every algorithm for her next breath. The fire popped. Outside, frogs sang in the flooded creek. Elena turned. Their eyes met. She saw the exhaustion, the hope, the quiet strength. He saw the guarded heart, the quick laugh, the hands that could coax beauty from broken wood. She kissed him first. Soft, tentative. He kissed her back like a man who'd forgotten he was allowed to want. The next morning, the power returned with a triumphant hum. Cell phones buzzed to life. Reality crashed in. Caleb's sister had been frantic. His inbox overflowed with freelance offers he'd ignored. Elena's boss needed her at the store, inventory backlog. Over breakfast, Caleb cleared his throat. I should get Sophie to Wilmington. My sister can watch her while I rebuild. Elena nodded, throat tight. Of course. Sophie hugged Milo so hard the dog wheezed. She hugged Elena harder. Will you visit? Every weekend I'm not sanding something, Elena promised. Caleb loaded their patched duffel into Elena's truck, she insisted on driving them to the repaired car. The goodbye was awkward, full of half-started sentences. 3 weeks later, Elena's phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Check your website, *. She did. Her little online store, usually a trickle of local orders, had exploded. Listings for her restored dressers and tables dominated Google's first page. The inbox overflowed with custom requests. Another text, "Told you SEO wasn't stupid." She laughed until she cried. Caleb showed up that Friday with Sophie and a pizza. "Thought we'd celebrate your newfound internet fame." They celebrated on the porch, Sophie asleep against Milo, stars thick overhead. "I don't want to bounce anymore," Caleb said quietly. "Sophie needs roots. We need you." Elena traced the scar on his knuckle, a burn from a soldering iron in college. "I've got 12 acres and a workshop that could use another pair of hands." He kissed her then, slow and certain, like a promise. Months turned to seasons. Caleb turned Elena's website into a brand. She taught him to refinish wood, he taught her to read analytics like tea leaves. Sophie started preschool in town, her backpack bigger than her torso. Milo appointed himself official greeter. 1 year later, on the anniversary of the storm, Caleb proposed in the workshop. He'd carved their initials into a cedar plank, sanded it smooth, stained it honey gold. "Marry me, Elena Ramirez. Let's build something that lasts." She said yes with sawdust in her hair and tears on her cheeks. The wedding was small, feed store co-workers, Caleb's sister, Sophie as flower girl in a dress Elena had sewn from vintage lace. Milo wore a bow tie and stole the show. After the vows, Elena pulled Caleb aside. "You know the best part?" "What?" "That night, I thought I was sheltering a stranger. Turns out, the storm brought me home." He kissed her forehead. "SEO's just patterns. You're the algorithm I never want to solve." Sophie tugged their hands. "Cake now?" They laughed, the sound bright against the autumn sky. Years later, when people asked how they met, Elena would smile and say, "He was an SEO who optimized my heart." Caleb would roll his eyes, but he'd squeeze her hand. And on stormy nights, they'd light the fireplace, tell Sophie the story of the hurricane that changed everything, and thank the sky for crying hard enough to bring them together. Hey, if this story made you tear up, laugh, or believe in second chances, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share more stories like this. And if you're not subscribed yet, tap that bell so you never miss the next one. Drop a comment, have you ever had a stranger change your life? I read every single one. See you in the next video, ****.